Hey everybody, JJ Cagle here. Today we're going to learn how to assemble the ESPixelPop controller board. The ESPixelPop controller board is an RGB controller based on the ESP8266 microcontroller. It will allow you to control RGB strips based on the WS8211 or WS8212 protocol using streaming ACN, also known as SACN or E1.31 or DMX over Ethernet. This will allow you to control your RGB strips using your favorite Christmas light syncing software such as Vixen, X-Lights, or Falcon Pi Player. Everyone, like I said, today we're going to be assembling the ESPixelPop controller board. As a disclaimer, this project is going to require soldering, and I am in no ways an expert or here to teach you how to solder. So if you don't know how to solder, go ahead and watch some videos and learn how to do it. Any injuries you may encounter or incur while watching this tutorial are not my fault, and I do not take responsibility in any way for any injuries that may occur. That being said, this will be a fun project, and I hope you do it and enjoy it as well. Before we get started, if you could go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that bell, all those things would be wonderful. I'm trying to grow the channel to help make this more sustainable, that way I can keep doing it and keep bringing you some great tutorials. So obviously for this controller, we're going to need the PCB board that it is based upon. And you can acquire this PCB board by private messaging UkeWarrior on doityourselfchristmas.com. I'll leave a link in the description to doityourselfchristmas.com as well as his username. Once you've got your boards, there's a few other things you're going to need. You're going to need one ESP-01 board. Don't just order any one you can find on Amazon or AliExpress. A lot of these are faulty. So I'll leave a link in the description with some good ones that I know work. You'll also need one diode. This must be a 1N4148 diode. You'll also need two resistors, a 1/8 watt and a 1/4 watt carbon film or metal film resistor rated for 330 ohms. You'll need one polarized electrolytic capacitor. Any value from 10 to 220 UF will do as long as it is 10 volt or above. You need to pay special attention to the diameter of this capacitor as it cannot exceed 5 millimeters and the leads must be spaced 2 millimeters apart. You also need one MLCC capacitor with 2.54 lead spacing, 0.1 UF, and a voltage over 24 volts. You also need one 3.3 volt voltage regulator. This must be LD1117V33, which has a T0-220 style package. You'll also need one 5.0 volt voltage regulator if you're making the 12 volt variant. I'm not making the 12 volt variant, so I will not be needing this part. You'll also need one MOSFET. This must be a 2N7000 or ZVN3306A, which has a T0-92-3 style package. You'll need a 5-pin screw terminal header with 5 positions total that has 3.81 millimeter spacing between the mounting pins. You'll need a 6-pin header, a tactile switch, 6 millimeter by 6 millimeter, and an 8-pin header with 2.54 millimeter spacing on the leads. And if you don't know what any of this means, don't worry, I will leave a link in the description to all these parts at Amazon. I just bought them in bulk as I was planning on making a lot of these, and in the long run that'll be cheaper. Once you've got all these parts, you're ready to begin assembling the board. So let's get right to it. So to get started, we're going to want to take our diode and we're going to want to fold down the leads in such a way that it fits in the diode position on the PCB board, which is on the end. Note which side of the diode has the black line and which side of the position for the diode on the board has the white line. Make sure the side of the diode with the black line goes at the side of the PCB board with the white line. Go ahead and position the diode accordingly and solder it on. And once we've got that diode soldered on, we're going to want to go ahead and grab both of our resistors, bend down the leads to make sure they'll fit in their corresponding position on the PCB board. And their corresponding position is the rectangle with the 330 written inside it. Go ahead and put them both in their position. And once they're both in there, you can go ahead and solder them on. And once you've got that resistor soldered on, since we're making the 5-volt version, at least since I am making the 5-volt version of the ESPixelPop board, I'm going to need to bridge the 2 pins connected by the white line where the 5-volt, where the 12-volt to 5-volt converter would go, regulator. And since we're using 5 volt from the get-go, we don't need to take that 12 volts, which doesn't exist, down to 5 volts. However, if you are making the 12 volt version, you would just simply put the regulator right in that spot instead of a jumper. So I just took one of the leads, bent it around, put it in the corresponding location, and went ahead and soldered it on. And once you've got those leads put on, go ahead and grab your MLCC capacitor. That is the one with the yellow capacitor body. Go ahead and put it in its corresponding location on the board. It should be C1. Put it right where it belongs, and go ahead and solder it on. Once you've got that soldered on, go ahead and grab your MOSFET. It looks like a transistor. It goes into a Q1, right next to the position where we put the jumper or the 12 volt to 5 volt converter. And then press it right in and press it all the way down. It will bend the pins on the bottom, but it should not hurt the MOSFET. Go ahead and solder it on. Once we've got that on, we're going to go ahead and take our button and put it on its corresponding location. It is the position with the circle in the middle, right next to the resistors. Go ahead and pop it right in there and go ahead and solder it on. And now we're going to go ahead and take our 5-pin terminal header. We're going to put it on the end where with the positions that say VCC, ground, data, VCC, and ground. I put it in the wrong side, so I'm just going to flip it around right now. There we go. Go ahead and solder it on. And once you've got that soldered on, go ahead and grab the 8-pin terminal and put it right on those in that 8-pin positions right by the diode. Can be a little tricky. Once you've got it in there, go ahead and solder it on. Now that we put that 8-pin terminal on, we're going to go ahead and mount our 6-pin terminal on the corresponding location on the PCB board. It should be the only location that it fits, right next to the 8-pin terminal. Once you've got it put in there, go ahead and solder it on. Once you've got that 6-pin terminal soldered on, we're going to go ahead and install our capacitor. Now, it's important on the capacitor to pay careful attention to the length of the legs. The longer leg is the positive side and the shorter leg is the negative side. Also on the body, the side with the gray strip should be the negative side. Make sure to put the positive side in the positive hole and the negative side in the negative hole in the C2 position on the PCB board. Once you've got it in there, go ahead and solder it on. Once we've got that soldered on, we're going to head and install our final piece, which is our 5 volt to 3.3 volt converter. Goes in the last available position on the motherboard, in between both capacitors and the header. Go ahead and push it right in there and solder it on. And that's it. You have successfully assembled your first ESPixelPop controller board. Thanks for watching. I hope you had fun assembling these. Now that you've assembled them, you're ready to program them, and I will be making an upcoming video on how to program ESPixelPops using the ESPPixelStick software by Fork and I. So please subscribe so you can get that video as soon as it comes out, and I'll hope to see you next time. JJ Cagle, out.